Hi, my name is Misty, and I'm a fellow homeschool mom. I know as a homeschool mom, there are a lot of things calling for your attention, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Just a quick backstory about my family before we get started. We have homeschooled since the very beginning with our children, and our oldest graduated last year. So he was actually accepted into a summer work program that would pay for his room and board for college. And so that was very exciting, but it also meant that a week after his graduation, we packed up almost all of his belongings, except for his Legos, and moved him 14 hours away from home. So you might be a mom that just has littles, and that time seems very far in the distance for you still. Or you might have a little bit older children, but they're still kind of in the middle years, and you know you still have some time. You might be a mom that has a child that will graduate in the next couple of years, and you are dealing with all the emotions that come with that. Or you might be a mom that has been there and knows the bittersweet feeling that comes with telling your children goodbye. But what I learned through that season of change was how grateful I am that we homeschooled, how thankful I am for the years we spent discovering everything together and learning together, and all the memories that were made in the process. So I'm excited today to share how you can make memories with your children studying geography, because even though the days are long sometimes and seasons can be hard, we only have our children for a short time. So I'm excited to help you make memories with your children. So why is geography important? When you study geography, it gives your children a bigger idea of the world, and that is not just in their little space. It helps them look beyond themselves and realize that the world is a lot bigger than them. Studying geography also helps develop spatial thinking. It creates a mental map so they can understand where all these things are happening that they hear about on the news, they see on a report somewhere. They know, like, oh, I remember studying that place, and they can picture in their mind where it is. It also helps them understand history. When you've studied a country and you realize, wow, that country has a lot of mountain ranges, or this terrain is rough here, or they have lush fields, or there's rough coastline, it helps them understand the struggles that those countries would have had in their history and during the wars, during the development of those countries, and just everything, all those pieces of history and the countries that battled each other and the way our world is shaped today. It helps put all those pieces together for them. Knowing a location and culture also makes literature meaningful. Whenever they're reading a book and they can picture, wow, okay, I understand like where this person is and how close they are to this country, or they're kind of over here just in their own little world. It just brings all of that literature to life for them. To understand people, you have to know something about where they came from. And that's the great thing with geography, because in this world, we are all so connected now with the internet. There's a very good chance that your child will work with someone, or at least know someone from a different country, and this will help them relate to them so much more. Of course, there's many reasons to study geography, but the last one that I'd like to share with you today is it's going to help your children greatly with research skills. And those research skills will help them so much later in life, whether they go on to college or in their future job. Or I'm a homeschool mom and I stay home with my children, but I still use research skills daily. So research skills will benefit all of your children. Even when we hear about the importance of geography and we know the difference having a mental map will make for our children, it's easy for geography just to be put on the back burner to all the other core subjects. I get that. I'm a homeschool mom too. I know all the different core subjects that demand for our attention. That's one of the reasons I love traveling the world together, By studying one country a month, it's so much easier to budget the time and not take away from any of those core subjects. Many of you are probably thinking, one country a month? How are my children going to learn enough geography studying one country a month? Well, let me break it down some for you. We homeschool year-round, and so that's going to come to 12 countries a year. But you might be on a more traditional schedule, and so that would come to about 9 countries a year for you. So on a bigger scale, I know that like 12 months doesn't seem, or 12 countries doesn't seem that significant. But if you are just taking a high school student, 4 years, that would be 48 countries that they've studied in depth. Or if for a more traditional schedule, it would be 36 countries in depth that they learned about. I don't know about you, but my geography classes in school consisted of learning the continents, learning the bodies of water, learning the states and capitals, learning like a spatial concept of, okay, Europe is over here, Africa is here. And all of those things are good things, and I do want my children to learn those things, but it didn't give me a deep understanding of the cultures of the world or an appreciation for other countries. So for the most part, studying a country a month will be all the geography your children will need, except for, you're going to want to memorize some things like the states and capitals. I like for my children to learn, we'll take like a continent at a time and learn locations of those countries and try to memorize where their locations are. And then we just spend time reviewing once a week for 15 minutes, either through a fun review game or a quiz. And that's all it takes just to stay on top of those things. The best part about studying a country a month is the memories that you're going to make as a family, because those family memories are what is going to make the impact on your children. The making those memories together is going to help them remember things and remember where that country is located. They're going to remember, and you are going to remember, in fact, because you're going to remember studying that together. You're going to remember watching that video and talking about, well, why don't they have a 4th floor on buildings in South Korea? And you're going to remember the taste and the smells as you're cooking the different food. And you're going to experience all of that together. Now I want to share some practical ways that your family can begin studying a country a month as well. And I've included an outline for you in case that would be helpful. But we start with clues. It's a fun way to introduce the country that we'll be studying, and it gets the kids excited as they read the clues and try to guess which country it will be about. Some ways you could do this is by putting Post-it notes with clues around your house and the kids just randomly find them. Or you could do it scavenger hunt style, and they find a clue, which leads them to another clue. And it could even eventually lead them to a page number in an atlas, and that would be the country. Just an idea. And then right now we're using text messaging a lot because my little guys aren't quite studying geography with us. They just enjoy the food we have. But my older girls will have phones, and so I just send them a text message with some clues, and then they're texting back trying to guess which country it is. So they really enjoy that. Some ideas for clues would be latitude and longitude, the time zone that the country is in, specific landmarks, and you could have pictures of landmarks, fun facts just about the country. We really enjoy the fun facts. And then, or a unique geographical feature that is in that country. So those are just some ideas for clues for you. Another thing that I like to do during the month is I like to have just a basic clock set to that country's time zone for the entire month. And every time they see it, they think about that country, and kind of gives them a spatial, like, okay, that's just a couple hours more or less than ours, or wow, that's a whole nother time of day over there. They might be asleep. Just gives them that perspective as well. Another way to bring the country to life is by reading books and watching movies set in that country. So that's something like the Christian heroes then and now. These are great for bringing the country to life. Most of them are based in a Pacific country, like this one is India for Amy Carmichael. But any even fictional literature that you're reading might be based in a certain time area, or you might know, like, we're going to read that this year. Well, let's study that country at the same time. So those are great ways that you can implement geography and something you're already studying together. Plus, it really just puts it more into perspective for your children. Mapping is another thing that we do. It gives children visual perception of that country. And the amount of detail you have them put into it is just all based on their age. So it might be a basic map, for your younger child, or that you just have them color it. Maybe in kindergarten, you just have them color it even. As they get older, you might have them write down the country's capital. As they get a little older, maybe more major cities or geographical features. So, it's all progresses with age, but you can all be studying it at the same time, which I know as children, as a mom with multiple age children, I love anything that we can study the same together and then just, fix it to work with their ages. And this is a great resource for that. It's just Uncle Josh's outline map collection for CD-ROM. It's just a disc that I put in the computer. I print off a map and they can fill it in. I'm sure there's probably some online. Sometimes I had a hard time finding certain countries. That's why I ordered that, but just an idea for you guys. Another thing that we love is virtual travel. And by that, I just mean watching videos or looking at pictures from a different country. And YouTube is a great resource for that. Now, I don't know what your feelings are about YouTube. There are definitely settings that you can make it, where certain things don't pop up and things like that. Also, I do highly recommend that you watch the video first before watching it with your children. But there are so many good travel videos out there, and the movement of the videos or what the people are saying about them. Even some of them that you hear the wind blowing, it just gives you an idea of what the weather is like there. It really helps you feel like you've been there. Virtual field trips for landmarks. So we just studied Paris, or we just studied France. And so, of course, the Eiffel Tower, like just a virtual field trip, and they, it's kind of like, it's not the same, I know, as being there, but it gives you a very good experience of what it would be like. Google Earth is another thing that they could do to try to kind of walk it and see for themselves in first person. Google Images. Now, you don't have the movement with the images, but you still get to see what the countryside is like or different areas. Another resource I really like is Families of the World DVDs. And I actually found these at our library. So maybe your library will have them. If not, I think they're for sale online. But they're called Families of the World DVDs. And each DVD is focused on a country. So it might be called Families of Germany. And that would go through the life of two different families and through the eyes of a child, though. And so you kind of just see what their day-to-day life is like for those children in that country. And such a cool perspective, and gives you a really good idea of their culture, what their home life is like, how their schools are, hobbies they might have, things that they do as a family. So highly recommend Families of the World DVDs if you can find them at your library. So when you're studying the country of the world, you'll want to have some resources on hand. And these are the resources. I'm going to go over some resources that we usually have on hand. Of course, you're going to want to have atlases. You could check out library books. You can Google, of course, just to help you research. But Windows on the World is one that our family refers to quite a bit. It does not have every country, though there are definitely some countries that we've looked for and they're not in there, but it has a vast It does have a lot of countries in it. And for each country it tells you a little bit about that country, like specific facts about it, where it's located, the flag, shows you some pictures of what their life is like and tells you about their life. But from a Christian perspective, it gives you an idea of how you can pray for them and things that they struggle with. Another great resource is Picture Atlas of the World, and it is by Rand McNally. What I love about it is it has a large map, but then it has pictures of produce or different products that they manufacture in that country. It also has landmarks and famous buildings and just the cities. It has geographical features like rivers and mountains. And then it has also a lot of information with it too. So that's one of our favorite resources to refer to. We also use Children's Illustrated World Atlas quite a bit. And it just has different maps in it as well that we just refer to. And it has information, but this just gives you kind of an idea of what it looks like. But one of my favorite geography resources, period, is the Ultimate Geography and Timeline Guide. And it is basically just a teacher's book of ideas for you. But it has ways that you can implement geography just naturally into your family. And it has ideas for implementing it into different subjects like science or math and things like that. But for using it for this purpose, there are some countries listed in here with different information. Not all the countries, but the major countries. And it also has this resource in the back, which is a CD-ROM that has different maps and worksheets on it. That is very helpful when studying a country a month. So that's the Ultimate Geography and Timeline Guide that I really like. So we just went over the resources that we use a lot in our home. And what are some things that you can do with those resources besides just looking through them? Well, one of my favorite things to do in our home is assign writing projects. And I usually assign those writing projects after we've had a chance to discover the country some, and the kids have an idea of places they would like to visit. Writing projects are great for giving your children the opportunity to dig through resources and to practice important research skills. So some ideas for writing practice, or writing projects, I should say, would be itineraries. And itineraries are great for older students, especially high school students, because they can pick places they would like to visit. They have to determine places that they want to travel to, how much that stuff would cost, and things like that. So it is such a great thing for them to learn. Itineraries would be my number one go-to for my high school students. And then there's brochures, and that could, a lot of age ranges would like to make brochures, posters, reports, essays. Essays are another great one as your children get older, so they can get more practice in writing those kind of answering essay questions. Informative videos. Kids love seeing themselves on camera. So informative videos are a great way for them to relay the information that they're learning. PowerPoints, another great tool that they're probably going to use later in life. And then if all of that just seems too advanced for your younger students, you could just have them do a worksheet, one that you find somewhere, or one that you just come up with the questions yourself. So other great things about writing projects is it helps them remember things because it makes it personal to them. It's not just something that they're being told or reading a bunch of facts, but it's really personal to them because they've done the research themselves and they've studied somewhere they want to go. It also is a huge benefit for you as a homeschool mom because you can connect their writing and their geography time in the same time slot. So I know that before we talked about how it's hard getting all the core subjects in and geography as well. So this helps you connect the two together. And so what I do is when I'm planning their writing for the month, I will make sure I leave a few days open for their geography assignments, and they'll use those geography assignments during their writing time. There are numerous hands-on activities that will cement even further all your children have been learning. Plus, activities are another great way to make memories together. So here are some ideas. Build landmarks out of Legos. Build the country's flag out of Legos. You could paint flag rocks. There are so many crafts on Pinterest geared towards the culture, or the landmark, or the animal. I'm sure you can find something. You could do a coloring page, depending on your kid's age. This Around the World coloring book is super great for younger learners because it has the map itself, plus it has little facts and things about the country, and usually the flag on every page. So that's a great resource. I'm sure there's coloring pages online that you could print as well. Dioramas, placemats for dinner, and on those we've included like trivia, games, and jokes. You could design a centerpiece for your authentic meal you'll have. You can play a geography game, and we have a couple that I'd like to share with you. We have the famous Landmarks Bingo, and this, simple bingo, and bingo is great for incorporating lots of different ages. And this one I hesitate to share with you because it's actually out of print. They don't make it anymore. Why they stopped making it, I don't know, because it is fabulous. So I'm going to show you, just in case you are ever at a used sale or you see it used at a garage sale or anything, pick these games up. They are called 10 Days. This one is 10 Days in Africa. It's amazing. They have one for Africa, for Europe, for the Americas. They have one for the 50 states and Asia. So if you can get your hands on one of those babies, get a 10 Days game because those are super fun. Plus, there are so many different geography games that you can find something that your family would enjoy playing. Then also work a puzzle together. So this is the global puzzle. And the cool things about puzzles is you are looking at them constantly. You're looking at the picture constantly. And it's helping them really get that spatial map and of where things go. So it could be, like I just showed you, a world puzzle, or it could be a puzzle specifically for that country. It could be a landmark of that country, or even the countryside. Just, it's going to cement for them more what that country looks like, where it's at, and things like that. Learn some phrases of that country's language. So obviously, in a month's time, you're not going to learn a full language, but just learn a few phrases together and say them throughout the month. It'll be a lot of fun. Salt dome maps are another great way to learn the various terrains of a country. And we don't do that every time, but there's just some countries that have a lot of different terrain. And so those are a great way to learn about that country. Lap books are always a great option. One of our favorite ways to learn about a country is through their food. Food incorporates so many senses: sight, smell, touch, and taste. Something about experiencing another country's food almost makes you feel like you're there. Your family has to eat anyway, right? So why not make memories preparing and trying new food together? What we usually do for every country is we'll have a treat and an authentic meal. So the treats I often find just at the grocery store or on Amazon. It's either some kind of snack or candy. My big requirement for it is that it says that it was actually made in that country. But there's also numerous snack subscription companies that you could find too if you wanted to go that route. We really enjoy trying the treats from other countries, and a lot of times the wrapping of the treats, or the snacks is very authentic to that country. So that's also fun. And like I said, we also have a meal, and we try to find authentic recipes. But of course, in every country, not everybody makes food the same. So we do our best to try to keep it authentic, but everybody makes dishes differently. I personally try to find things that aren't too crazy, that I hope that we will enjoy. But if your family's more adventurous, you could go for it and try some really fun foods. We've had meals that we loved and we ended up adding to our family menu. And we've had meals that we ended up having a sandwich for dinner instead. But sometimes those meals are the most memorable because we remember how awful that tasted, or that's really not for me. So they're all good. I mean, you make memories no matter what in the process. But most of our recipes we end up finding on Pinterest. Another good resource is the Eat Your Way Around the World. And it just has, it'll have a country and it'll tell you a little about that country, foods that are popular there, foods that are like vegetables and stuff that are native there. So it also has some recipes. And then there's also Eat Your Way Through the USA if you're studying the 50 states. But those are really my big things with food. And the nice thing about it is even if you can't fit in all the other activities, like it's pretty easy to fit in food into our daily lives. So hopefully your family will enjoy the food part of it as well. Now, you've made all these memories, you've studied these countries, keep track of it. And here are a few ideas. Each child could have a passport that tells them what country y'all have studied. You could have a big map that you color the countries you've studied. You could make a photo book with the different memories you have throughout the year. But no matter what, be sure to take pictures. If you're anything like me, great intentions, but actually taking the pictures doesn't always happen. So be sure to take pictures of the memories that your family is making. So I've given you a lot of ideas of how your family can make memories together. To help you visualize what an actual month's study might look like, though, I'll walk you through our recent study of France. So on the first day, we just did clues, and I sent them text messages, and the first one was like the time zone, okay? And they start guessing, and then I'll send a picture of a landmark, and then I sent another picture of another landmark, and then they guessed it. So that was all we did on day one, was clues. Day two, we started our map work, and for them, they're older students, so they have a lot more to do than a younger student would, but they start their map work on day two, and their map work would included things like cities and the borders of the country. I really like to know what other countries are bordering that country, or what bodies of water and things like that. They would do like the different mountain ranges, just things like that. So they start on their map that day because I really want things labeled and I want it done nicely. So they have 2 days to do their map. And then on day three, we learned some French phrases and we practiced saying them throughout the month. So that's not hard. You're not going to learn you're not going to learn French in a month. You're going to learn some phrases. And so we went to YouTube and we learned some phrases of how to say them in French. Day four, we worked a puzzle in France. Day 5 was virtual travel. So this was the YouTube channels, and we watched some YouTube travel videos, just bringing France into life, like some of the main landmarks, some of the cities, and just hearing the travelers talk about it. And then on day 6, we started our writing projects. My sophomore has always wanted to travel to France and to Paris, and I hear about it a lot. So a travel itinerary for a week seemed like a perfect fit for her, so she can daydream about traveling to France one day and what all she wants to do there. So I asked her to include sources of transportation, lodging, what she plans on seeing and doing there, and the estimated expenses for the trip. My sixth grader did a travel brochure with pictures of places she'd like to visit and descriptions about each place. On day 7, we played 10 Days in Europe, and that's the game that I mentioned earlier. We just love it so much. And so games are a great way to connect with your kids and just learn in the process. On day 8, we watched Les Miserables. I'm not sure if I said that right. It might be Les Miserables. I always say Les Mis. It is a musical based in France. And so we watched that together. And day 9, they tasted French macarons. And at Christmas time, we tried making macarons, and they were a total fail, like major fail. So we were really excited to find some at Sam's that were made in France, and the girls got to try those. I actually always videotape them trying things and put it on our YouTube channel. So if you guys ever want to see that, that's on our YouTube channel of them trying the different snacks and different meals. On day 10, we worked more on the writing project because the writing projects do take time and research. We usually allow at least 3 days for them. So we worked more on the writing project. On day 11, we did more virtual travel, and this was more like the virtual field trips through certain places and not just the travel video. So like we did a virtual field trip to the Eiffel Tower and things like that. On day 12, they finished their map work that they had begun earlier in the month. On day 13, they painted flag rocks. And I mentioned that before in the activities. That's kind of our go-to activity right now for this season of life is the painted flag rocks. We have a little collection of the different flags and the countries they've been to. On day 14, they finished their writing projects. And then on day 15, they did a trivia style review game. So to be honest with you, I am learning about these countries right along with them. Like I said before, my geography, it was fine in school, but I didn't learn in depth about countries. And so I'm learning right along with them. And as we're learning, I'm writing down questions throughout the month to ask them later. So we just do a game kind of like Jeopardy or other styles of trivia games that they answer questions about the country that we learned about. And then on day 16, we just have our authentic dinner. And for France, we had French chicken and baguettes. So that kind of breaks down studying a country a month and what it looks like for us. I hope you've been inspired to make memories with your children while discovering the world together. If you would like to see our family's lesson plans, I'm going to start posting them on my blog every month, and you are welcome to print them off and use them or tweak them to fit your family's needs. And that would be at manyseasonsofmotherhood.com. We also post taste tests of the different countries that we have tried on our YouTube channel, and you are welcome to check that out. It is Many Seasons of Motherhood. That's the name of our YouTube channel. I also post videos about homeschooling, recipes, and motherhood in general on there. If you're looking for more ideas for recipes or just crafts and things to do with geography, I do have some Pinterest boards that have international recipes or that are dedicated to homeschooling and geography. And once again, that's just on Pinterest, and my name on there is Many Seasons of Motherhood. So thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time, and I really hope that you have been inspired and are excited to make some memories with your children. I would love to hear from you if you have any questions, or if you want to share with me ways that you make memories with your children and life in general or in homeschooling. So